Alright, Cenobites, this is the last Hellraiser review. Oh shit. There's two more. Ah! This was bad. Everyone said this was terrible, and fuck it, it's bad. I don't even want to talk about it, but I have to, so... Horror Franchise Wednesday, let's do this! Hellraiser Hellworld. This stars Lance Henricksen and Henry Cavil because they were in Romania shooting some other shit, and this was shot back-to-back with Deader in Romania, and they were like, hey, come over here to do our shitty movie. And they're like, okay, as long as we get money. Just because there's no way there was any other motivation. Henry Cavill in this isn't even that good. Like, if you told me in 2005 when this came out, like, this guy's gonna be Superman one day, I'd be like, you're full of shit. I'm not seeing any talent. Nobody's good in this movie. It is awful. This movie felt like Resurrection. Basically the same thing, like, group of idiots who you don't care about, know nothing about at all. You just know they like Hellraiser. And then they go into this house, big old house like the Myers house, and they go room to room, and they just separate, and they die one by one, and you don't give a fuck. And then there's even like that one-liner dropped by one of the main characters, kind of like, you know, trick or treat, motherfucker, except she says, like, you know, goodbye, asshole. I wish she would have said something like, Happy Hellworld Day, motherfucker, and then, like, roundhouse kick Lance Henriksen. She roundhouse kicks the main bad guy in this movie. So, very much like Resurrection. It is awful. This movie is terrible. What's the plot synopsis? In case you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's about a group of Hellraisers. They love Hellraiser, and this movie, it is basically saying that all the other films are just films. It's meta. So they go to this Hellraiser party, they're dressed like Cenobites, there's an anonymous mask, and that goes nowhere. And then all of a sudden, they're hallucinating this shit's happening, and all of a sudden, Pinhead's there, and then blah, blah, blah. It's awful. I don't want to talk about this. I saw Trick or Treat. I'm going to review that for Halloween. I can't wait to talk about that. I'd rather talk about that than this. But let's get this shit over with in this week's Horror Franchise Wednesday.
Hellraiser Hellworld.
What are the good things I can say about Hellworld? Boobs. There's boobs. There's plenty of them. There's this one girl, gorgeous, great tits. And she gives a blowjob to Henry Cavill. That's the only scene that made me laugh because of the one-liner or just the joke, the pun by Henry Cavill. Something about, like, you shouldn't have blown me off. He's getting blown. I thought that was funny.
Oh, so now you want me, huh?
Mike, look, I'm not messing you around here. There's something really strange going on in this house.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have blown me off.
And there's beautiful girls. Lots of them. Almost everybody in this movie is beautiful. Except for the British chick's okay, but there's beautiful ladies. I can't say much about this. There's kills. There's a couple of... just nothing good about this. There's a couple of decent looking kills. There's one chick on a Saw-like chair. Honestly, I'd rather talk about my new poster. Let's talk about this. Isn't this cool? Any Crash Bandicoot fans out there? Should probably talk more closer to the mic. Yeah, that's how bad this movie was. There's nothing going in this. Like, what the fuck happens in this movie? Nothing, because it's all fake out. Spoiler! Another stupid movie where nothing actually happens. And Pinhead, technically not in this movie at all. There's no positives. What? Like, Chelsea, she had nice leather pants. Beautiful. Like, that's it. Henry Cavill's in here. Familiar face. That's it. The hottest chick in this movie is the girl giving a blowjob. You don't see her face that much, but she's beautiful. She's got the best tits. So, yeah, she's my hottest chick. And I think the best scene in this movie is Henry Cavill being blown, like I said earlier. Because he gets on the phone, and he's like, you shouldn't have blown me off. And then he looks down towards the girl blowing him. I thought that was funny. It was the only thing that made me laugh. Now let's go into the cons. This movie is meta. It's so stupid. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? So what, now everyone's just wearing a Cenobite mask, and they're going to a Hellraiser party, and they play this Hellraiser video game since they were children, they said. So they've been playing it for years. And I don't know how old they are. This movie opens up, they're at a funeral, and then all of a sudden... they're at this fucking house, and supposedly it's 2 years later, but they look the same. I don't know. I had to look it up online. I was like, oh, 2 years later. Well, the movie didn't say that, but this video game they play looks stupid. how is that fun? How is that even fun for children? Like, what they show you makes no fucking sense. What do? You just click on the Rubik's Cube and it solves itself? How fun is that? That is not fun. So they didn't even try to make it seem believable that this video game would even garner anyone's attention 1 second. It's not a good looking game at all. So how the fuck is it even playable? What's the goal? And then you find out that Lance Henricksen somehow sent them a invite through it. How did he program that? He didn't invent that game. That's not his game. So how the fuck did he do that? Makes no sense. So many plot holes and questions I have. Just makes no fucking sense. And I know I say that all the time, but you watch this movie and you will be just like me right now, pissed off and like, what does that mean? How did he pull this off? How did this happen? Who even likes that game? Makes no sense. How do they not know what their best friend's dad looks like? And if he doesn't give a shit about his son to be around enough for his friends to recognize his dad, then obviously you have no reason to get revenge for your son because you're never around him. And I think even when the characters point that out, it's like, you're getting revenge for your son? The son that you never even fucking hung out with and abandoned and never, like, seriously? Just like Miss Loomis in Part 2 Scream, like, you never were around. You abandoned your son. It's that. Just like that. So, like, what else? There's so many stupid shit. The soundtrack, I don't care for the soundtrack at all the songs I play, it's like 2000s pop music. This movie doesn't feel like a Hellraiser movie. It wasn't a Hellraiser script. It was another stupid script they bought, and they were like, let's tack Hellraiser onto it. And, oh, God. Just dumbass characters, dumbass character decisions. One guy, like, drops his inhaler, and then it's on top of, like, a grate or, like, some sort of, like, air vent, but it has, like, those holes in it, and it's, like, it can clearly go down. And instead of just easily trying to grab it carefully so that it won't go down the fucking vent, he just like pushes it down so then it goes down the vent and he's gonna go downstairs and seclude himself, be all by himself to get killed. So like dumb fucking characters, cheap sets. There's moments where like the wall looks like a sturdy wall, but then they hit it and it like bounces back. It's so dumb. There's no tension. Is this movie trying to be scary? Like at all? It's not trying to be funny. There was one moment that made me laugh, I said, but other than that, this movie's serious, and there's nothing fucking scary about it at all. There's no tension. Like, point one scene out that was trying to be scary. None of them. It's so dumb. It's predictable as fuck. Was this twist supposed to be, like, a twist at all? It's like trying to pull the rug out from under you. Like, they were buried. It's like, no shit. You told me that. Like 50 times. You kept cutting back to them being buried for like 2 seconds, like 2 frames. So, you know, like, oh, look, there's a coffin lid being closed. There's Lance Henriksen. He's digging up 5 graves. He's shutting a lid. Oh, look, there's the main girl with dirt falling on her face. I wonder what that means. It's like, of course you know what it means. They're all buried. How is that supposed to shock you? They play it like it's a shock. It's not. So dumb. This movie even opens up with a guy like using a pickaxe and he kills himself because he's just so into the game. Maybe there's people out there that they just love video games so much they want to reenact it, but what the fuck was he reenacting and why? It's like, dude, you're gonna light yourself on fire. You're gonna dig a hole in the ground. I don't know where the fuck that was. Let's just say it's the basement of his house. Digging a grave with a pickaxe, covers himself in gas and lights himself on fire. Because what? He loves the Hellraiser game that much, and he built his own lament configuration like it's the real one. Because at the end of the movie, it's the real thing and actually like summons the Cenobites, who just coincidentally actually look exactly like the Cenobites that are supposedly just films and fictional. So are they taking the form of the things that you guys say are fake? Because how the fuck is that's a coincidence that you have to stretch your imagination to like, no, what is this, like New Nightmare? Like Freddy, he takes the form of Freddy in New Nightmare because everyone knows him like that. Is that the same thing here with the Cenobites? They come at the end of the movie and they look exactly like the fake Cenobites in the franchise that are just movies in this universe. It makes no sense. This movie is just awful. This movie's kind of boring too. Like it's just it takes like over 25 minutes for someone to get killed. They just go to the party and they're partying here, they're partying here. This guy's talking to these chicks, this guy's talking to these chicks. And they introduce these masks that do nothing. Like, And this is after the hallucinations and whatnot, so I guess I can excuse it, so whatever, but it was just stupid. Like, no one's even wearing the mask, and you're like, they have numbers on them, and I guess Lance Henricksen is so fucking rich that he can buy like 100 cell phones and hand them to everybody at the party, and hundreds of masks, and hardly anyone's wearing them, so what's the point? And even when they do grab a mask, they don't actually wear it. They just put it over the top of their head, so no one's going to call you. And even one of the characters, later on, he checks his phone, he's like, oh, no one's trying to call me here. It's like, no shit. You don't have the mask on, so how can they call you? It's just, ugh. These characters are so poorly written. I didn't know who was fucking who, like who was together. I thought that there was two couples. The British girl, the black guy, and then Henry Cavil and Catherine, or whatever the fuck, Chelsea. They're not, none of these people are dating. And for some reason, Chelsea's into Adam's brother, and she used to date Adam, but he's the one who like lit himself on fire. She's a terrible girlfriend. How does she not see that coming? That your boyfriend's crazy enough to light himself on fire. Like, that's your fault. And no wonder she's having dreams about it at the beginning. This movie opens up with a dream sequence. Pinhead in this movie isn't really Pinhead. He's not in this movie until the very end, and that was just very much shoehorned in. That does not need to be here at all. Because that, like I said, it makes it make no sense even more. How he just looks like the fictional characters. It's just so dumb. They don't know, like, they don't know about Adam's dad. There's just conveniences here. Like, she's in the hell world and she can call the cops in the real world. How that works, I don't know. But yeah, like, Lance's his plan. How did he put this shit together? What? It's 2 years later, and he just somehow could afford this big ass mansion. He knew how to send invites through this game he's never played. He has a collection of all this shit now, just to kind of like do what? Like, hey, why would he buy all that? I'm done. I don't want to talk about this movie. So yeah, final thoughts. Don't watch this movie. There's nothing here that's not funny. There's no tension. There's no really great kills in it. Pinhead's not really in it. It's meta. It's dumb. There's dumb characters. There's nothing going for this movie at all. There's, like, it's pretty fucking pathetic that my only positives were, well, there's beautiful girls, there's boobs, and that's it, really. So yeah, when it comes to Hellraiser Hellworld, fuck this movie. I'd rather blow my brains out. The Mr. Had Award for Best Kill goes to Lance, who gets chopped into a bunch of pieces and it looks horrible. It's CGI, but it's the most creative looking kill in the movie. And the Mr. Twig Award for Worst Kill goes to Henry Cavill, who just dies of fear. He also gets hooked in the back in the Hell World and he starts to fly like Superman. Alright, let's do a more deep spoiler discussion. Why not? So yeah, opens up with the dream. She's dreaming Chelsea, and she's at a closed casket funeral because Adam lit himself on fire, so makes sense. But she goes to like open it, and I was thinking that moment, like, how disrespectful, you bitch. All the family's right there. You're just gonna open up that casket for all of them to see their son all lit on fire, like burnt and disgusting looking. But then it's just a dream. It didn't really happen, or maybe it did, and she's just dreaming about events that really did happen. But then Henry Cavill is at her apartment late at night, which is why I thought they were dating, because that seems like a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. You don't just go to your hot girl's, your friend who's a girl, house at like fucking 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I was like, they're dating? No, they're not. And then same thing with the other couple that aren't a couple. They're at each other's apartment late at night, and just like when they go to the party, they're flirting with girls, and the one girl's acting kind of like chills, like, come on boys, this way, don't look over there at the boobs. It's just confusing, and they're not even dating, so why do you care, bitch? Let him look at them. But yeah, then we get Henry Cavill, and he shows up in the Chatterer Cenobite mask, and right off the bat, we know that this is meta. All the Hellraiser movies are movies, and this is outside of that universe. This is its own universe where all that is just a franchise, and they know about it. You even have references to the Psycho franchise when they get to the house. They're like, oh, look, it's like the Bates house. Nah, not really. And then somehow, yeah, they get invited to the party. I don't know how Lance pulled that off, but Henriksen, he's the host of the party. He's basically a Pinhead. He shows them around. He has all these fucking weird props that are supposedly from the movies, but there's like all these like fetuses inside of like green liquid tubes, like just some sort of mad scientist laboratory in this basement. I don't know why that's there, what that means. That has nothing to do with the Hellraiser franchise. And then he stabs her with a nail, and like nobody questions it. There's like, what? He did what? No, he didn't. And then it makes sense later because it's all fucking dream. Everything from the moment that they get to the party and the two take a drink, they're hallucinating from that point on, those two. And then the one girl sprays her face with perfume. Everything after that for her is a hallucination. But here's my question. Adam, or whatever, Jake, Adam's brother, and Chelsea did not take a drink. They didn't get knocked out in that scene. They actually went to the basement, but they're going to the basement with the people who are supposedly knocked out at that point. So that makes no fucking sense. Wouldn't they question the fact that 3 of their friends just passed out on the floor? And how nobody at this party, there's like over 100 people. And they're real. They're actually there. So they didn't see Lance carrying 5 bodies out the fucking front door to the front yard to bury them. Because when he's like digging them up, or like just when he's out there, you look in the background, the house is right there. He's not that far. And even when the cops show up, because she's calling them from within the Hellworld, they don't see those 5 graves just sitting right there, not that far from the house. It makes no sense. They even, like, at the end when they dig her up and they get her out, they're right there next to the house. How did they not find that? It's just so dumb. Like, this movie just expects you to just believe everything and just accept it. And it's like, no, that's retarded as fuck. But yeah, then like the girl, she gets stuck with the needle. And then she's passed out, and Adam, or whatever, Jake, he goes upstairs, he holds the Rubik's Cube, and then CGI nails go through his thumb, and the CGI looks awful. And then after that, Jake's walking around the party, and everyone's ignoring him, because he's dead, or he's not really there, or whatever. This movie, it keeps cutting to, like, Lance digging up the grave, doing this, doing that, and it's like, why are we seeing this? It's obviously going to come into play at the end. Therefore, the twist is being revealed 25 minutes into the movie. It's just, why would you show that? That makes no sense from an editing standpoint. Worst editing of any movie ever. Then Henry Cavil gets a blowjob. I like that scene. And the one guy can't pick up his inhaler because he's a dipshit. It's on the floor. Some guy deliberately kicks it. It doesn't look like a natural, like, whoops, I kicked it some. No, he fucking kicked it away from the guy who's dying from an asthma attack. What a dick. Must have been Pinhead or something. Chelsea calls the police somehow. And this one girl gets on a chair. And this is before Saul. Or during Saul, really. The first one that just came out. She gets in this chair and, like, straps her in, and like these 2 like blades come and they like cut her throat open, so then like later on she looks like that one Cenobite. So I guess that's kind of neat, but just the execution, oh, it's awful. Once again, 2 movies in a row now, we get a pigeon jump scare. Fuck you. I'm sick of that shit. And then there's Adam's dead, burnt corpse in the floor of the attic, and she just wants to stick her hand down the hole. For what purpose? What is she hoping to achieve there? It makes no sense. That is a dumb character decision. And for some reason, I guess in her hell world, she knows how to roundhouse kick people and really bring men to their knees, like crushing their arm, like, ow, I tap out. Like, she can do all that shit. Can she do that in real life, or is it just a hell world? And if you're hallucinating, like, what is this drug that they're on? Where Lance can somehow just make them see Pinhead. Like, how is it that they're all seeing the same shit, basically? They're seeing each other. Like, if it's all a dream, they can communicate with each other. They can feel pain when they're dying. They really feel it. But it's not really happening. And they're all thinking the same shit. They're all seeing Pinhead. I mean, one guy sees a chick that just randomly fucks him. And this is funny because it's especially this franchise, it's so many horror movies, supernatural horror movies, where a guy can easily be seduced by a ghost and he doesn't question it. You know, it's just like, sure, this girl wants to bang me for no reason, who I don't know, and isn't saying the word to me. And in this movie, he actually gets to have sex and finish. Usually they, like, reveal themselves, like, 10 seconds into it. Like, by the way, I'm a ghost. Not in this one. But yeah, Chelsea, she roundhouse kicks Lance right in his face.
Goodbye, asshole.
Yeah, the effects in this movie are terrible. Like, the Cenobites look like costumes. They look like they're wearing costumes. And they really are earlier in the movie, but when the real Cenobites show up, they look like men in costumes. It's terrible. And I think one of them was even holding a CGI chain. they couldn't afford a chain on set that day. Like, if you look at it, it looked like a CGI chain for some reason. It just looked off. It could have been real, but it just looked weird. So, yeah. And then Chelsea, she bumps into this cop in the middle of the woods. She's like, what the fuck are you doing out here? And then he gets killed by Pinhead. Pinhead's a slasher in this. He's a slasher person in this one. He's like Victor Crowley or Jason. He's just picking people off one by one without chains, without his usual, choice of weapon. So it doesn't feel like a Pinhead Hellraiser movie at all. And then Henry Cavill goes in the basement to fuck the BJ girl. And I thought she was gonna like make out with him to death, like just make out with him so much that he can't even get like a breath in. Like, God, hold on. But she like puts him in the room, shuts the door, and then he gets hooked, and then he's like flying like Superman. Yeah. Then the police, they dig up Chelsea, and they're like, "We found you. It's been a few days since your call." It's like she hasn't like starved to death yet, man. She must be starving, but she doesn't complain about it. But then it like makes it seem as if the ghost of Adam called the police, because they're like, we traced the phone from inside. Well, that doesn't make sense because she's outside in the dirt outside the house calling. So who called the cops? And what's the purpose of these cell phones? Like, he buries them with cell phones? Was it to like, is that how he controlled their dreams? Like, he was like making suggestions like, start hallucinating yourself getting a blowjob. Start hallucinating yourself encountering Pinhead. Makes no sense. How does that work? Explain it to me. I like that Henry Cavill just dies of fear. That's how he died in real life. And the one chick like literally clawed her own throat. The one guy died of asthma. And then, yeah, the other two survive. And then Lance, he's drinking and smoking. He's on the run from the police. And he has the real lament configuration, opens it, sees the Cenobites, and they kill him. So now the Cenobites and that shit's real. It's not a movie no more. It's real. That makes no fucking sense. And what's the last thing that Doug Bradley says as Pinhead? This is his last movie, the last we ever see of him. What's his closing line?
How's that for a wake-up call?
How's that for a wake-up call? Yeah, he's Freddy Krueger now. He's dropping fucking one-liners and puns. What a shame that Doug Bradley left his role as Pinhead on a fucking pun as dumb as that. How's that for a wake-up call? Oh, fuck this movie. But yeah, then automatically the ghost of Lance Henricksen is haunting the other two survivors just for a last scare, and it doesn't work at all. They just drive away in the sunset, happy, credits roll, it's over, and very dumb ending credits song. So yeah, this movie is terrible. Do not watch it. This movie's boring. Just like my fucking review. I was boring myself talking about it. There's nothing good about this movie at all. I'm bored. I don't want to talk about it no more. So yeah, I'm done. Let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, and you can become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.